Hello, everyone. I know, I know it's been a while since I've been on. A lot. See, I haven't been feeling good, or it's been raining, or just thing I have to do. So it kind of took a while. Plus, a lot of things that I knew were coming that I did a lot of videos about in the past, they've been coming true too. So I figured I needed to just wait for just a minute and just I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was the right time for me to come on for a little while. But today we're gonna start off with um, something a little different because I can always sit here and say, okay, this is what's coming next, and this is what's in the Bible or whatever. But when it comes down to it, for those that are believers, we know that these are the last days, and how we go, a lot of us are gonna go somehow, and we don't know when that time is going to come. We don't know how it's going to end, but God is the author and the finisher of our faith. Okay. And for those of us that have lived long enough to have that bite that life gives you, there are some things that you just carry with you over time that even can make you feel bitter. Questions will come about like, why did God allow this to happen? And without even realizing it, sometimes um, you have a problem with God. You may not realize it up front. Maybe you do. But there are things that happen, lots of things that can happen in your life where it's just like, whoa, you think, where was God? Right. And there's this rift that tears between you that sometimes doesn't get dealt with. And it isn't until you find yourself at a funeral that we're reminded how precious life is and how short it can be and how unexpected our ends can be at times, right? And it's usually during those times when you start really thinking about some things that you really need to do, things that you really should be doing, things that you should have done before that person even died. You realize more than any other time at that time how precious life is and what you're really doing here. Hello, we got a couple of people here already. All right. Sunshine, hello, Billy Joe Smoke. Oh, I'm sorry to worry. Yeah, I really have been having a hard time. Still, I start having headaches again, but a lot of it's the rain and the heat and the rain. It's just a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Thank you, Billy Joe Schmo. I'm glad you're doing good too. Well, I think you're doing good. I hope you are. All right. Today's a good day. Um, so I'm going to take you guys back a little bit. When you're born, before you're bitten by life, those hardships, there is that innate sense that you know one thing, that one day you were born, and your time is here is limited, that one day you're going to go away. You're not going to be here anymore. You're going to go somewhere else. And you just think, well, if I can get through this life. Now, when you start losing, okay, now remember Job, he had a roof cave in and like lost 10 of his kids and his wife. He was upset about it, but he was able to make peace with God, and God gave him a house back and more children. So here's the thing, when you've lost someone close to you, that's really when your faith is shaken more than anything, like when you've lost a baby, a mom, a wife, a father. You know what I'm talking about. Your very best friend, the only person that got you through the hardest times that you could have ever had. You lose that person. You wonder how that. Hold on, I've got somebody that's walking and talking. It's kind of distracting me. All right. But it all comes down to forgiveness. And some things just aren't very easy to let go, right? Fiddlesticks, hello, sweetie. All right. So, the thing from when you're a kid, the whole thing of life and death, that seems more natural. But as you get older, that becomes a serious issue. And you have to make peace with God. You have to understand that when we were born, we were going to go through trials. We were going to go through that fire, and we were going to find people that hated us, people we hate and have to forgive, and people that we loved a lot. But in the end, we could keep no one. In the end, they weren't our husband or our son or our father. They were all his kids. And even our children, they're really borrowed from him. Everything belongs to him. Even your mom is really your sister in Christ, but we all belong to him, and we all have a path to take. So, excuse me. Did I bring my? Yep, brought it. Hold on. I'm sorry about that, you guys. I can say that I know how this feels because I lost a baby. He was 19 months old, and I was very sick back in 2009. So I went to the hospital, and he went off with his paternal grandmother for a couple days with his brother, and he ended up drowning in the pool in November. I was completely devastated. Then he died on 11/11/09. Um, Getting his car seat out of the car, and his clothes and his bed, and waking up and having to take one of the seats away from the table, it was devastating. It was I just couldn't understand it. And it took a long time for me to pick myself up from that. I mean, alcohol really became a crutch for me for about 3 years, I think. But finally, I asked him, I was like, why? And it took me years before I finally just asked him, because I wasn't ready to talk about it for a long time. I was like, why did you take my baby? I loved him. I planned for him. Why? And he actually spoke to me and said, my love is sufficient. And when he speaks to me, he doesn't speak in 2, 3, 4 page letters. No, when he speaks to me, he just says a few words that just blow my mind. My love is sufficient. All things belong to him. We all do. And we can't just think about our lives like they're going to go on forever, because anything can happen at any time. This whole life that we had was our test. This was our chance to make the cut. You know what I'm saying? And it's really hard when you walk into a church and you know that they don't talk about the last days. And if you say, I have visions from God, they look at you like you must be from the devil, or that can't be happening, or you're not part of our elite group, that can't be happening to you. It just kind of turns you off. There's a lot of things. And so it makes it harder to get to that point of forgiveness and bonding with people in these churches. I guess maybe it kind of sounds like a weird point, but in the end, we have whatever it is that you lost. God is sufficient. Even if it's not in this life, believe me, he's got everything waiting for you over here. And then there comes the point of those people that are angry because they're afraid that someone they love might have actually gone to hell. And I can see where that would hurt. Okay. But I know from having gone to hell that none of us wanted to see anyone we loved come down there. Yes, I went to hell too. Some of y'all may not know that. Most of y'all do. Oh, Lord, this is busy today. Oh, God. Hold on. Oh, hold on.
Come back. Doing a podcast. We'll come back. Yep.
Like your car, though.
Oh, yeah.
All right, bye, y'all.
How long you going to be done in?
I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. That car wasn't just pulling in here. That was somebody. Nice car, though. Sorry. He knew that his love was sufficient. He knew that no matter how much I loved my baby, he could love them better. Anything I wanted for him, he could do better. But in those cases where you think someone, you got to let that go. In the end, we were all here to do that. None of us in hell want to see you here. It would be better. We would be happier not ever seeing you in that place if they committed suicide or whatever reason you think they might have gone to hell. First of all, you don't know if they did or not. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But don't let that be a stumbling block between you and God and your salvation, because eternity is a really long time. And when you look at what's going on in the world right now, you can just tell it's the end times, okay? We've got behind the scenes big time two-state solution progress, okay? And it's showing too, all right? In America, they've got articles coming out saying things like they're coming for your guns and your Bibles. Things like, let's make it harder on them so they can't work, they can't do this, they can't do that if they don't do this certain thing. The Gulf of Mexico was on fire. Now, that is the weirdest fire, I'm telling you, because they say production wasn't stopped, but it was from a leak, but production wasn't stopped. It didn't hurt the rig at all. And they were spraying water on a fire that was in the water, and it was in this perfect circle. That was no ordinary looking fire to me in the Gulf of Mexico. All right. There are California quakes all the way up on that Cascadia fault line through Washington. Okay. Drought in California. Quake in the center of Mount St. Helens. It's hurricane season. Birds are dying on the East Coast, grasshoppers in Utah, mass fish deaths. We got protests riding strong in South Africa, Haiti, and Cuba. Flooding in Western Germany, hundreds missing. Flooding in Belgium, Poland, Iran, and Oman. I mean. 2 dam collapses in China, a 100-year flood in Philadelphia, and a crumbling economy. Just to start off, those are the signs of the last days. Those are a big part of all the signs of the birth pangs, okay? You tell me that horseman of death isn't riding. Oh, yes, it is, okay? We lost a whole bunch of people in one building just like that overnight, like a thief in the night, right? Remember, I don't know, I do. I remember when I was a kid, right? They would talk, at least in my church, they talked about the war that would come, the tribulation. And they told me and all the kids here that they would threaten us eventually with our loved ones to take the mark and say, well, if you don't do this, we'll do this, we'll take your kids, we'll kill them, whatever. But even if you denied Christ, you still might lose your life. It could be a trick, but the what Jesus had taught us, what we were being taught, was that we weren't supposed to deny Christ for anything. Okay? That in the end, you wouldn't want your children to deny Christ for you, and you all know you're going to meet up in a safe place. See, that's what I'm saying. We got to have a real talk about understanding that life is not long like you think it's going to be, especially now these days. You can't get caught up in stumbling blocks. You got to remember, we have a meeting place somewhere. This is temporary. This is not our home. It's just our home right now. You've got to remember that whatever you have here, if you lose it, well, everything here can be lost, but your riches should be up in heaven. All right. Some people down here may look great, but spiritually they're poor and wretched, and we may look poor, but we are rich and we don't even know it. Okay. So if you're holding on to things, if you have idols that you are holding on to, if you love your children more than God, if you love anything, money, fame, whatever, more than God, that is idolizing them. You have to remember that, yes, we can lose the people close enough, and eventually we will. We just hope that we outlive them so we don't have to have it happen, but it will. We're going to have loss. And a lot of people, even some of you, we're going to lose you just straight up out the blue. But we will meet up again. This is not the end. Eternity is just waiting around the corner. It's going to be one breath and we'll all be back together again. So do whatever it is you got to do to forgive. And it's not just the people who've done stuff to you. It's when you realize you've got to forgive God because you think, okay, how could God let this happen to me? I have crazy. Oh, it's good to talk to you. It's always good to talk to you. All right. So in these days, we're going to be tested. Things are going to get harder. All right. Those, that Russian invasion, it's getting closer. Those disasters that we know have been those big prophecies, they're around the corner. Okay. The economy is crumbling right underneath us, and nothing is for sure. We are in a huge time of uncertainty. You've got to be ready to let go of everything. You've got to be ready to lose everything and expect that you could lose your life. You need to live your life like it's your last every day. If you need to hug somebody and reconcile with them, start doing it. Get that bucket list going, because even if it wasn't the last days, you still don't know when your time is. So we need to make sure that we don't have unfinished business, even when we have unexpected deaths. If there's people that you love them while they're here. Okay, love them the best you can, and you leave judgment up to God. You make sure you're straight with Him, though. Okay? All right? Is there anything anybody wants to say? Over and talk. Okay? So, those earthquakes, I'm talking those, the hail, to water. If you have nothing else, have water. Oops. Bye, everyone. Just going to type that in super fast. All right. Bye.